Mahatma Gandhi awakened the largest democracy on earth and forged a shared resolve with what he called satyagraha or truth force. In every land, the truth once known has the power to set us free. Truth also has the power to unite us and bridge the distance between me and we. Creating the basis for common effort and shared responsibility. There is an African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We need to go far. Quickly. We must abandon the conceit that individual, isolated, private actions are the answer. They can and do help. But they will not take us far enough without collective action. At the same time, we must ensure that in mobilizing globally, we do not invite the establishment of ideological conformity and a new lockstepism. That means adopting principles, values, laws, and treaties that release creativity and initiative. At every level of society in multifold responses originating concurrently and spontaneously. This new consciousness requires expanding the possibilities inherent in all humanity. The innovators who will devise a new way to harness the sun's energy for pennies or invent an engine that's carbon negative may live in Lagos or Mumbai or Montevideo. We must ensure that entrepreneurs and inventors everywhere on the globe have the chance to change the world. When we unite for a moral purpose that is manifestly good and true, the spiritual energy unleashed can transform us. the generation that defeated fascism throughout the world in the 1940s found in rising to meet their awesome challenge, that they had gained the moral authority. And long-term vision to launch the Marshall Plan, the United Nations, and a new level of global cooperation and foresight that unified Europe and facilitated the emergence of democracy. Japan. Germany, Italy, and much of the world. One of their visionary leaders said, "It is time we steered by the stars and not by the lights of every passing ship, for in the last year of that war, you gave the Peace Prize to a man from my hometown of 2,000 people. Carthage, Tennessee, in the USA. Cordell Hull was described by Franklin Roosevelt as the father of the United Nations. He was an inspiration and hero to my own father. Who followed Hull in the Congress and the U.S. Senate and in his commitment to world peace and global cooperation. My parents spoke often of Hull, always in tones of reverence and admiration. "8 weeks ago, when you announced this prize, the deepest emotion I felt was when I saw the headline in my hometown paper that simply noted I had won the same prize that Cordell Hull had won. In that moment, I knew what my father and mother would have felt were they alive. Just as Hull's generation found moral authority in rising to solve the world crisis caused by fascism. So can we find our greatest opportunity in rising to solve the climate crisis. In the kanji characters used in both Chinese and Japanese. Crisis is written with two symbols, the first meaning danger, The second opportunity. By facing and removing the danger of the climate crisis, we have the opportunity to gain the moral. Authority and vision to vastly increase our own capacity to solve other crises that have been too long ignored. We must understand the connections between the climate crisis and the afflictions of poverty. Hunger, HIV/AIDS and other pandemics. As these problems are linked, so too must be their solutions. We must begin by making the common rescue of the global. Environment, the central organizing principle of the world community. "15 years ago, I made that case at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. "10 years ago, I presented it in Kyoto. This week, I will urge the delegates in Bali to adopt a bold mandate for a treaty that establishes a universal global cap on emissions and uses the market in emissions trading to efficiently allocate resources to the most effective opportunities for speedy reductions. This treaty should be ratified and brought into effect everywhere in the world by the beginning of 2010, 2 years sooner than presently contemplated. The pace of our response must be accelerated to match the accelerating pace of the crisis itself. Heads of state should meet. Early next year to review what was accomplished in Bali and take personal responsibility for addressing this crisis. It is not unreasonable to ask, given the gravity of our circumstances. that these heads of state meet every 3 months until this treaty is completed. We also need a moratorium on the construction of any new generating facility that burns coal without the capacity to safely trap and store carbon dioxide. And most important of all, we need to put a price on carbon with a CO2 tax that is then rebate back to the people. Progressively, according to the laws of each nation. In ways that shift the burden of taxation from employment to pollution. This is by far the most effective and simplest way to accelerate solutions to this crisis. The world now needs an alliance, especially of those nations. That weigh heaviest in the scales where Earth is in the balance. I salute Europe and Japan for the steps they've taken in recent years to meet the challenge. And the new government in Australia, which has made solving the climate crisis its first priority. But the outcome will be decisively influenced by two nations that are now failing to do enough. The United States and China. While India is also growing fast in importance, it should be absolutely clear that it is the two largest CO2 emitters, and most of all, my own country. That will need to make the boldest moves, or stand accountable before history for their failure to act. Both countries should stop using the other's behavior as an excuse for stalemate. And instead develop an agenda for mutual survival in a shared global environment. These are the last few years of decision, but they can be the first years of a bright and hopeful future if we do what we must. No one should believe a solution will be found without effort, without cost, without change. Let us acknowledge that if we wish to redeem squandered time and speak again with moral authority, then these are the hard truths. The way ahead is difficult. The outer boundary of what we currently believe to be feasible is still far short of what we actually must do. Moreover, between here and there, across the unknown, falls the shadow. That is just another way of saying that we have to expand the boundaries of what is possible. In the words of the Spanish poet, Antonio Machado, path walker, there is no path. You must make the path as. You walk. We are standing at the most fateful fork in that path. So I want to end as I began, with a vision of two futures, each palpable. Possibility, and with a prayer that we will see with vivid clarity the necessity of choosing between those two futures. And the urgency of making the right choice now. The great Norwegian playwright, Henrik Ibsen, wrote, "One of these days, the younger generation will come knocking at my door. The future is knocking at our door right now. Make no mistake, the next generation will ask us one of two questions. Either they will ask, 'What were you thinking? Why didn't you act?' Or they will ask instead, 'How did you find the moral courage to rise and successfully resolve a crisis that so many said was impossible to solve?' We have everything we need to get started. Save perhaps political will, but political will is a renewable resource. So let us renew it, and let us say together. We have a purpose. We are many. For this purpose we will rise, and we will act. Superscript 1 Deuteronomy 30:19. Superscript 2 George Orwell, in front of your nose. Superscript 3 Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice. I think I know enough of hate to know that for destruction ice is also great, and would suffice. Harper's Magazine, December, 1920. General Omar Bradley. Al Gore. Presidential election concession speech. Delivered December 13, 2000. Good evening. Just moments ago, I spoke with George W. Bush and congratulated him on becoming the 43rd President of the United States. And I promised him that I wouldn't call him back this time. I offered to meet with him as soon as possible so that we can start to heal. The divisions of the campaign and the contest through which we've just passed. Almost a century and a half ago, Senator Stephen Douglas told Abraham Lincoln, who had just defeated him for the presidency, partisan feeling must yield to patriotism. I'm with you, Mr.